Everybody ready? Yes. Okay. So glad to see so many here people to speak out on the local law amending Chapter 90 of the sidewalk. So anyway, okay, please join me while we pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, so wonderful to see all of you here on Monday, September 24th, Town Board meeting. We do have just one housekeeping item to take care of, and that would be a motion to accept the minutes of September 10th.
I make a motion.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And then I just do need one additional motion to alter the agenda and put resolution number 1, appointing Robert Benson as provisional chief, first before all the other items.
I make a motion.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. So, Emily, I think you have the honor, but we'd like Rob to come on up and join us here.
All right. Should I read the whole thing, or how do you want to do it? Just read the caption?
Yeah, just read the caption.
All right.
Yeah.
Resolution 924-1 of 2018, resolution authorizing the Hyde Park Town Board to appoint Robert J. Benson as provisional chief of police for the Town of Hyde Park Police Department, and authorize the Hyde Park Town Supervisor to execute an employment agreement for his provisional appointment.
Second.
And Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Svensson.
Aye.
Councilman Marine.
Aye.
Oh.
Wait, what?
Councilman Ray.
Aye.
Councilman Marine.
Aye.
Councilman Schneider.
Aye.
Supervisor Rohr.
Aye. Well, congratulations, Rob. Okay.
Before we come down and present you with your badge, and Donna's going to come down and swear you in, I just really want to, first of all, just tell the crowd here and the town just a little story about OB. It was June of 1999 where Rob was a wonderful police officer in our schools with the DARE program, and it was a 98-degree day, and he took the class of the 8th grade class down to Yankee Stadium. It was Legends Day. It was Larson threw out the ceremonial pitch, and Cohn gets onto the mound, and you have the 5th inning, and it's still a perfect game. The 6th inning, still a perfect game, and the 9th inning, still a perfect game. And it was the 16th perfect game in MLB history, which is very rare. You know, if somebody follows baseball, it's very rare, and it's something that my family, actually my wife was a chaperone, and I was always kind of upset that I didn't go on that trip. You know, it's like my wife went on that trip, and it was Yogi Berra Day, but it was a really special day. And then today comes, and I realize that today is more special for me to appoint you as chief. And thank you for all you do for this community, for this police department, and I'm really excited on what you're going to be able to bring to this department. So congratulations, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Donna, if we can have you come down and swear Rob in, that'd be great. Aileen, you want to go down with them?
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Aileen, there's a mic on the table there if you want the mic for Donna.
A few more people here than last time we did this.
That's right. Okay. I, Robert J. Benson,
I, Robert J. Benson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of provisional full-time Chief of Police,
of provisional full-time Chief of Police
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
You are so sworn. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Rob.
Thank you so much.
And really, it's such a pleasure to work with you and such an honor. I'm just feeling so excited about our next time together.
Thank you so much.
And, you've earned this and worked so hard for our community and for our people, and we're just grateful and excited.
Thank
So
you.
thank you.
Very proud of Hyde Park.
Careful.
I won't tell anyone anyway. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I'll just say a few words.
Please do.
I never miss a moment to say a few words. I've given many speeches in front of a lot of children, fellow co-workers, many different training seminars, but this is probably the hardest one. It's the first one my mom's actually been able to sit and listen to by not watching it on TV. I just want to first thank the town board for putting the faith in me and putting me in charge of this ship, and looking forward to moving this ship forward in a positive way. And we've had a lot of momentum, and I want to keep that momentum going. And it wouldn't be the town of Hyde Park Police without the men and women that we have here. These are the real men and women of the police department. There's what make the engine go. I'm going to be the captain that's just going to steer it in the right direction. And I'm very proud of this department. I'm very proud of this town. People say to me, well, why do you stay in Hyde Park? Because I am Hyde Park. I was born and raised here. This is Hyde Park. This is my home. And I want to use the talents that the town boards in the past have given me in the trainings and the things that they've put me in charge of to be able to be the person to lead us from this point forward. I just want to say a special thanks to a few of the former chiefs who I've learned a lot from. First, I want to start with Jim McKenna. When I came to work in the Hyde Park Police Department, I came in like a Jack Russell Terrier. I was 22 years old, and I was full of energy, and he helped channel that energy and put me in the right direction, and he believed in me putting me in a school, and I really can't thank him enough for putting me in the school at the time he did, because that was a perfect placement for me. I got to meet a lot of people, and I got to share a lot of time with people like your children and your son, and spent a lot of time in that school. And it wouldn't have been for Jim McKenna to put me there, I would have never be where I am today. They helped build the foundation. Jim McKenna, Don Goddard, Charlie Bro, they helped put the foundation together, and Eric Palilli came in and put the final touches on. He polished me up. He sat down with me every step of the way, no matter what we were doing, explained to me what we were doing, why we were doing it, and to look forward to what the outcomes could be and be prepared for those outcomes, whether they're outcomes that we anticipated or not anticipated. So I can't thank them enough. Charlie's here today, as well as Eric. Thank you very much. I want to thank my mom for all the support throughout the years of my life, when she was just happy that I was going to make it through high school and then make it on to become what I am today. One thing my father taught me, who's in heaven today watching down, he said, you're always going to find somebody that can outsmart you, but don't ever let anyone outwork you. And I guarantee you, you will not find someone that's going to outwork me in the position I'm in. And the men and women of this police department work very, very hard to go out and protect this community, and I'm very proud of each and every one of them. I want to thank my wife, Sarah, and my kids who couldn't be here today. I didn't want to be worried about them running around and tearing something off the wall. And don't worry, my 4-year-old already advised me, Daddy, you may be the chief at work, but Mommy's the chief at home. And I just want to end on one note. Mr. John Golden, who's a very close friend of mine and very big influence in my life, said to me 23 years ago today, he said to me, and in the month of September, I should say, he said, you are going to be chief someday. And I said, Mr. Golden, I'm just becoming a full-time police officer. He goes, I'm telling you right now, you will be chief someday. And Mr. Golden, I know you're watching at home. You were correct. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rob. Well, again, I think we all just want to express our gratitude for all the work that our wonderful department does, and the foundation that was laid by prior chiefs and prior members of the police department. And you know, you're kind of like the glue that holds this town together, and you give us such a wonderful sense of pride and security and safety, and I don't know what's more important than that. So thank you, and thank you each for coming and honoring Rob.
Like I said, we're like a family here. We travel in packs, as you see. That's what we offer here. We may not offer as much money as everyone else, but we are a family here.
That's right.
Yes,
We have our
that's
good days, we have our bad days, but we are a family, all of us.
That's right.
Thank you.
So
Well, thank you, Chief.
Okay. Okay. Ken, I don't know why we didn't save that for the end. Now we got to go through all this others.
I make a motion to close.
Yeah. Now on to the local law, amending chapter
Yes.
90.
Now, the exciting stuff.
So, okay. So we will move on now.
Yes.
So there is on the agenda is the public comment on resolutions only. If anyone would like to address their comments on any of the resolutions before us. And it looks like that's not the case. So let's go on with the public hearing. And Madam Clerk, if you wouldn't mind reading the public hearing notice, or do we not need to do that? Oh, okay, as long as it's a continuation. So I just need a motion to open the public hearing?
Make a motion to open it?
And-
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And Warren, do you just want to give us a
Yeah,
little
we just,
lowdown on this?
during the process, we had some input from various sources, and we've decided to add some language to the local law. Most importantly is, in the case of failure to maintain the sidewalks in the manner that they're required to be maintained, we're going to give a notice to the property owner 15 days prior to adding some amount to the tax levy by certified mail to the owner of record on the last assessment roll. And there was one other minor change
I
to it.
think we edited the way it described which properties it applied to.
Yeah, I think we made one other just word change, and I just don't recall. That was pretty innocuous. But the other, it has to be on the desks of the town board members for 7 days before they vote on it. So they all have the amendment, the local law is amended tonight, so we're going to keep the public hearing open. We've already received our comments from county planning, and we will hopefully vote on it at the next meeting.
Okay, yes, that is the plan. So we have a couple of special meetings coming up that are related to the budget, but we will put this on for the regular meeting, which is October 15th. Okay? And
It's not holding up that project,
is it holding them up in any way, Warren, if we do?
What, I'm sorry?
Is it holding the applicants up in any way if we put it off till October 15th?
No, because
they have other things.
they've been adjourned. Their deadline has been extended.
Okay, right,
So-
that's what I thought.
And they're
Okay.
the one who made
asked
one of the
for the
comments.
change, yes.
One of the comments, so I can't
Sure.
imagine that they'd have any problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, if there is a problem, we could add it to the agenda
Yeah,
earlier.
but
no.
we would
Okay.
hear from them. If that's
All right,
correct.
so then we'll continue the public hearing until October 15th. May I have a motion to do so?
Make a motion?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
And then the plan will be to have a resolution approving it that night. Okay, good. All right, so moving on to our workshops. We have three of those on the agenda tonight, and our town engineer is here. Pete, do you want to come on up, and we'll just kind of talk about some different ideas that we've been kicking around as far as the CDPG grants?
Sure.
If you want to sit at the table, is that more comfortable, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you sit at
probably.
the table? I think it's a little.
Okay, so a couple things. The applications are due, are due the end of October. And by October the 5th, they kind of have a new process this year where we have to go and register on a grant website that they've set up for this now. So we have to let them know by October the 5th which application that we're going to be going for.
Oh, we actually have to register the application. It's not just that we register. We have to
I
have
will
it
double
nailed down
check,
by
but I
that.
thought you have to tell them what the application is, and then they have like a week or so, to vet it, and then that would give us time to make our submission. I'll have to check, but I believe it's the third week in October.
For
actually-
the submission?
Actually, the application and the attachments must be submitted via the grant portal by Friday, October 19th at 5. So we have to have, our public hearing in between.
Yeah.
Here's the other, here's the other part. Submit eligibility information via the LOI feature on the Dutchess County Grant portal. Applicants must complete this process by Friday, October 5th, so the county has time to review and approve whether the project is eligible.
Okay.
So, little time, but not much.
No, not too much.
That's next Friday.
Good thing we're very decisive.
We are, yeah. So, a couple things that the supervisor and I and Emily have been, discussing is, one was the possibility of replacing the pool deck over at Hackett Hill. We've corresponded with Ann Saylor at the county planning department, and that's a possibility. We're not sure that it would rank all that high. One of the other components behind any of the projects that we're going to be talking about is there almost has to be a handicap accessibility component to it. I checked with Kathleen. They currently have some type of a handicap swing, such that if a handicapped person is at the pool, it's some kind of a mechanism that you can hook up and lower the handicapped person into the pool. But I did get an email from Kathleen today, and she says, well, if you want to try to wrap in, we really don't have up by the pool a designated handicap parking spot and a real good way for a handicapped person to get over to the pool. So, maybe if we wrapped in a small paved area for the space and, an asphalt sidewalk to get over to the pool, maybe that would help. But that's one application that we were going to be discussing further.
I kind of recall
with the county.
Ann was concerned that because it's mainly a maintenance
Well-
issue, really, it's not, it's
Yeah.
replacing in kind something that's already
Yeah,
there.
and that's kind of
that
the
it might
problem
not
we're going to
rank
have
really
with,
well.
I think, any of the ones
Yeah.
that we're going to, discuss here,
In terms
tonight.
of ranking.
Yeah, I mean, there's always this thing about, well, is it really like a maintenance item, like you say, or is it something that's going to remove an architectural barrier? A handicapped,
Sure.
accessible, barrier. So that was, one project. In fact, I meant to pass this out before I made some extra. This is the area that we're eligible for projects in, the green area. I did,
We can share.
I've
more.
seen it
Yeah.
before, that's all right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and, when Pete did reach out to Ann, I asked him to inquire why Poughkeepsie was able to qualify, because I had seen in the paper
Right.
that their pool did qualify, and it is because 56% of the city's population meets
yeah, they
that
way exceed the, the low to moderate
low to
income
moderate income. and-
level, so they automatically,
So they
qualify, so they
qualify.
can do other things that some, municipalities can't. When I met with the highway superintendent last week on another matter, I also gave Howie a copy of this map just to see if there was any potential highway projects, a drainage project or something like that within this area that we may want to consider. One thing, if we were going to be doing that, you know, it would normally have to be on a fairly heavily traveled thoroughfare within that area, because you try to make the application where it benefits, you know, the most people within that area, versus if you were just putting it on a dead-end cul-de-sac that had 7 or 8 like houses. Well, that's only going to go benefit those few, you know, houses. So I'll reach out to Howie again just to see if there was anything that, you know, he may have. Go ahead.
I was just,
I mean, we're like throwing out things here.
yeah, I
there's
mean,
nothing
I do a lot of running, and I live on the
You do?
9G side. Yeah, believe it
I
or not.
wouldn't know that.
And there's just not a safe passage from 9G to Route 9. You know, the sidewalks and and Market Street, I mean, you're constantly crossing left to right around those curves because it's just real dangerous. And then you constantly see people walking on Pine Woods with children there, and it's just, there's just not a safe passage.
Yep.
And I see that would be covered in this green area.
Yeah, they're within that area, yeah.
Is there, would you know, I know we've done a lot of sidewalk projects, but I mean, that's a real crucial piece to get pedestrians from the Route 9G side to the Route 9 side, especially, you know, we're making a walkable downtown center here. We're going to see a lot more pedestrians. Is that something that you think, or Supervisor, you think would be?
Yeah, are you thinking Pine Woods Road or continuing on Market?
I would choose either or, whichever beneficial and most cost effective. You know, Pine Woods would probably be the best. But, you know, I would choose either at this point. I mean, I ran down Market and then Pine Woods back, and you're just, I mean, you're
Yeah, no,
running
it's
for your
tough.
life.
Yeah, no, it's tough. Yeah,
and,
definitely, for sure.
It's just, and there's, you know, you got the apartment complex there.
Sure.
You got Hackett Hill, you got Pine Woods Park, so, you know, you have a lot of people walking to our parks, but there's just not a safe way to get to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, Pine Woods Road is much too long to do the whole thing with one CDBG grant. I mean, you'd have to probably phase it or something, right? Because you just couldn't do that length with $100,000,
Right.
unfortunately. So
Yeah, I mean, well,
Not
we're
sure how you
eligible, I
break it
believe,
up.
for the sidewalks, we're eligible for 150,000, but,
yeah.
you know, like, still, it's a long way. But I mean, that's something, I mean, we've always talked about
Oh, yeah.
making that link.
Yeah, for
You know,
sure.
and now we're gonna start construction on a small piece that's gonna link, you know, the park now, you
Right.
know, to 9. And then we, like you say, we did the one section up there on Market that linked the apartment complex. And then
Right.
I think there was one year, excuse me, there was even one year where we said, well, maybe we'll think about a segment that would go from where we left off at the
Right.
apartment complex,
To across
maybe
the
down
bridge.
to, you know, the bridge.
To Hackett.
To the park.
So that way they
You know-
can get across safely there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah, you know, the problem is 150,000 doesn't really, like, go
No.
that far, I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, that's certainly,
I mean,
It's worthy of consideration, and actually, what we should do is look at the Parks Master Plan, because I do know that at one point, long before us, there was discussion about building a bridge across that piece on what would be the south side of Market, no, the north side of Market.
oh.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I
you
remember,
know,
yeah,
remember that?
I worked on that study, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm thinking is that, you know, you could, because there are trails that connect through Pine Woods Road,
Yes.
that maybe there could be a connection that would go along Market to Pine Woods Park, whereby there you could pick up the trail to get to, I mean, it's not exactly what you would do if you were walking to the store,
Right.
but if you're out for a walk or a run, I don't know, I mean.
And then we could also continue, you know, go down further with the next grant if we could get it. But I mean, I think adding to what we've started on that side,
Well, I
just for
think- yeah.
safety.
It's
Yeah.
certainly, it's something that was named in the pedestrian study as a priority to make that link eventually. I certainly think it's a good idea. I just
Yeah.
think that it would, take
Right.
some consideration because it couldn't all fit into one grant, probably.
One grant project. And then, our other thought on that was too, is that, we've done so many sidewalk projects. Is it time to look at some other, other possible projects? that,
Especially
just-
when they need maintenance. and-
Yeah, we wanted to be open to other possibilities too. And, a further consideration just is that, depending on if it's on a county road, then there's a requirement for us to maintain it. It's not so if it's on our own roads or Route 9, we have, but the county, we just want to be mindful of how far we can stretch our rec department
Right.
in terms of clearance. So that was just kind of our thought process on that. That though, I do think that if there was something else doesn't rise to the top, then we should consider
Yeah,
that.
we've been struggling like a little bit. I mean, one of the other things that we talked about was the possibility of whether some of the sidewalks right around the town hall complex might qualify because, I mean, as we all know, the sidewalks, even in the back and in the front, we have the one problem here with, I guess, somebody tripped on the one. And, again, Ann said that would be something that they would consider, but again, it's got to have like a component to removing, a handicap, barrier. I mean, we do have handicapped, like entrances both in the front and the back. It's just that they need like work, so we're back to, the maintenance thing. Is it more of, a maintenance thing than, removing a barrier that currently
Yeah.
exists, so.
I don't know, did Howie have any thoughts on possible projects?
We're kind of locked in because of the high travel road thing. I mean, a lot of the spots I need are
Yeah.
dead end. I mean, I met with Pete on Idlewild Drive with one. I got Nora Lane that needs work, Gilbert and Nora. But I looked at the map, there was a couple things, but I don't have it here.
Okay.
Is there anything over on White Oaks, Howie? Because I know that, one year we put in for White Oaks, and I remember we almost got it. They said that it had ranked high, but they had to give money to somebody else at some point, and
The problem with White Oak, especially on the 9G side, is that it drains down behind Jim's Auto Body and all that, and then it goes down through WJZP.
yeah, that's another drainage.
Pipe that's collapsed in there.
Mm,
I mean, we did drainage there, but it works, but it takes a while.
yeah, yeah,
On the other side, I don't see it.
yeah.
Back on the town hall, what if we did the sidewalk along 9 in front of the town hall, and improved the ramp and the crosswalk over to, across Main Street? Like, would that be removing, like making it ADA compliant?
Let's do it.
And then you could wrap in doing the walk up to the town hall
Mm-hmm.
I'm just throwing out an idea.
Yeah, I know.
And I also, I mean, I don't know if anyone else liked this idea, but we could do a bus stop out there and make it,
Does
kind
that
of
qualify, a bus stop?
I don't know if I don't think a bus, I mean,
Well,
we-
Because they
okay.
added pedestrian amenities, which is one
Yeah.
of the things that the CDBGs are, yeah. Mm.
I don't know, it's just a
All right.
thought.
I mean, we do have a call, we have our weekly call on Thursday, right?
Yeah,
With,
mhm.
GPL. What about, if there's time after that, what about if I try to set up a conference call with Ann?
Okay.
Maybe to
Yeah.
run some of
Yeah.
these things, like
Yeah.
Buyer?
Because it'd be great if there's a project that we need to do anyway, if we could get some grant money
Yeah.
for it, it'd certainly be
Sure.
nice. But of course, the ones we need to do kind of fall into that maintenance.
Maintenance category,
Yeah,
so-
yeah. But we should think about some of the other parks too. And Ken, I know that you frequent the parks with
Yeah.
your grandchildren and that type of thing, so if there's some
Well,
other.
Kathleen, maybe I'll call her again,
Yeah.
tomorrow. I mean, we have been pretty lucky. We've gotten grant money, for Pine Woods before. We were able to hook them up, to water there. We've gotten probably several grants at Hackett for various,
Yeah, I really
things.
wish we could do something for the pool, though.
Well, let's
I mean,
not,
let's-
I mean, I think maybe if we can go wrap in, you know, I don't know if that handicap parking space and,
Well,
you know, a sidewalk coming
yeah.
over there, you know, would do it, but, you know, it might.
It might. I mean, it's very likely that you would have a handicapped child that would want to go
Yeah.
to Hackett Hill Camp, and how would they get to the pool?
Right, right. So I think
You know,
that's something
think
that we
that's
should
really
discuss.
Yeah.
Now, we
a
also.
good argument for it.
Yeah. Now, we also had discussed, obviously, if we're going to look to replace, you know, the deck on the pool, we should
Yeah.
also look to replace, you know, the plumbing
Yeah.
that's there while we have, you know, the deck off. And Kathleen had sent me some stuff, which I think I had forwarded, you know, over to you, where I think it was like 2 years ago, they had somebody come in that I met there too, and just gave a very, you know, like ballpark,
Yeah.
you know, ballpark estimate, but maybe between, you know, the deck and the, you know, the plumbing, we were, if I can remember right, it was like in the 150 to 200, you know,
I thought it was
$1,000
more like
range.
90 or something.
Well, I think it was 60 to 90 for the deck, and then if you did,
Yeah, this is what started the whole conversation on pool replacement, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what, you know, and so.
It was Project Creep from the beginning.
It was,
Right.
and you know, and I talked with Kathleen about that today, and, you know, I feel that we really need to do some outreach to the community to understand what their needs would be in terms of undergoing a major capital project.
Right.
So even if there was commitment to go forward, we're talking about a number of years before that could really happen. And so we do need to make some tweaks and improvements to that pool deck area.
Playgrounds? Do they do playgrounds? For the community?
yes, we've gotten money,
Thinking like Greentree?
I was just about to say, the park in Green Tree
You
would
know,
take literally anything.
I mean,
I talked to
there's
Stephen about
absolutely
that
nothing
today.
there.
There
let's
is
just, let's just,
zero.
let's just go make
And we're
sure
in the
that's
green,
within an
we're in the green
area.
area.
Right, that's what I was looking, I'm thinking Greentree would be something that would be great for the community back there.
Yeah, that looks,
It falls in it.
yeah.
Well, we should have a conversation with Kathleen and maybe Steve from the Rec Commission in the next couple days, so that, you know, let's talk on Thursday, and then by early next week, we can kind
Let
of,
me reach out to her, you know, tomorrow and see if there's anything else.
okay,
Um,
okay.
you know, like Green Tree Park, maybe. I mean, yeah, because there really isn't
I
any.
think, you know, I think you really want to have a conversation with the Rec Commissioners.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
make sure
Yeah.
that they, you know, because I do think they have some thoughts on that. I did mention it to the chair this morning, and so, and part of, and it's a little premature to have this discussion, but, you know, Kathleen did have some different things in her budget that she's proposing. So one of which is improvements at the basketball court
In
at
Statsburg.
Dinsmore, but in a scaled-down version.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we're
good.
glad, I think we'd all be very supportive of that.
I mean, our community block grants have been very successful, and I love seeing the projects that have been
Yeah.
able to be accomplished. And, you know, I know the pool deck's very important as
Yeah.
well, but I would like to try to make sure we can get something that we have a really good shot
I
of
know, that's the thing, it's, you have to balance what we need with
versus
whether it's
what we
going to
can
rank.
actually get.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
And, I mean,
Yeah.
Green Tree sounds real exciting.
Yeah.
I know the sidewalks don't always seem exciting, but that's.
Well, they are, no.
Oh, they are.
They're
Hey,
well
we're the
needed, you
sidewalk
know.
people, are you
They're
kidding?
Oh, hey, I'm excited about sidewalks. I'm just saying, I know that we've done them, and we're looking for other things to
Well, I just want to
grab.
be open to, you know,
Other
other
things.
entertaining
Right, and I get that.
ideas. Yeah, yeah.
But, I mean, Green
But
Tree, if we could
let's
do
make
that,
sure
that'd be
we,
great.
you know, we thought it was a great application last year for the Roosevelt Firehouse.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that
but
would have
it's
been a
just- I
fantastic,
know, that
that
would have
would be
been- that would have
fantastic
been a
for our
good one.
community. It would have
That's
been
right.
ideal, but we didn't rank well.
Well, and plus, I think it was just,
I don't think
I
it-
think it was just outside the eligible, you know, area
Exactly.
too.
Well,
We
some
tried
of
to
it
say it
is
would serve the
eligible,
eligible
some's
area,
not.
but.
Yeah, it
I
was-
mean, we could do an income survey and
I
submit that
really
again.
wanted that.
I'm not, you want to do that, right,
No,
Chad?
you
I
were
want
good.
to do
Dave's
that.
trying to.
Me
I-
now.
we
You
did
love
that
doing
once.
income surveys, right?
Let's stick to a playground over at Green Tree. Okay.
I want to work on pine woods. so.
So you guys will touch base with the rec commission then, or the rec commissioners? Is
Yeah,
that
I
the
mean,
plan?
we could do that again, but it may not rank. I mean, it didn't rank well.
Oh, over there?
Yeah. And was it because of the income eligibility, or was there other?
I don't know if we ever got anything, I don't know.
Anything real feedback
yeah,
on it?
I
We
don't
could
know,
talk
honestly.
to Ann. Let's talk to
Yeah,
Ann
let's
about
talk to
it.
Ann. Why don't I
Yeah.
see if, I'll call tomorrow and see what your calendar looks like after our,
Okay.
our GPI call.
The
and
funny
I'll try
thing
to set
is,
it up.
where it would go is green, but, some of Roosevelt Road is in the white, so
Yeah,
that's, but,
So it's the area it serves is
Right.
where it has to be.
yeah.
Yeah,
is that
that
the
was
problem?
it. That's how we tried like to justify it, was that we were,
Yeah.
that it would basically, be serving most of this,
Green area.
most of this
Green,
area here that
yeah.
already was in a low to moderate income area, but
Right.
I guess that they
Do you
didn't
know
buy
what
that argument.
the income parameters are for that?
For what?
The low to
It
moderate?
depends on the size of your household. I think
Okay.
it's a little, yeah.
Is it like 53,000 or something?
Well, it depends on how many
For a family of
people.
four?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right, well,
All right, so
Well, I
I
think
will,
that Roosevelt Road project was a really nice
it was a
idea.
great
I mean,
project.
As much as I
Yeah.
like
And-
doing things in Ward 1, that was a real, I mean, I would
Yeah,
definitely support
no,
that.
I think it really
And
was,
it-
because
it-
that area is underserved by a
Yeah, and
park.
it's
Yeah.
another
Yes.
place that would love a playground or something, so.
And, I was saying to Kathleen today, I noticed in my neighborhood, a lot of the young families have moved in,
Yeah.
and I think that's great to see. And
Yeah.
so that's probably true in a lot of other neighborhoods.
Do we need to set the public hearing now? What's our timeline on
Well-
the
that's a
public
good
hearing?
idea.
I think if you look, we have a
can do
number
it
of
next
additional meetings we're putting
Yeah, yeah.
on, so,
Well, if it's due by Friday the 19th,
We have to do it on the 14th?
yeah, Donna, so we'd have to have how long to advertise it?
Need 7 days.
7 days to
So
advertise the
give it
public
10
hearing?
at
Give it
least.
10 days. And we could vote on it. When is it due, Pete?
it's October the 19th, Friday.
Okay. So we could vote on it on October 15th, right?
Yeah.
So we'd
Yeah.
have to set the public hearing probably October 1st.
Yeah, when's your next,
Oh, okay. We
when's
have a
your
meeting
next
then?
meeting after
We're
this?
going to do a meeting on October 1st.
Okay.
So we'll have to
Great.
set the public hearing on October 1st,
Okay,
right?
yep. Yeah, we don't have to, in order to set, the hearing, we don't have to, specifically say what, the project is.
Okay. That's
Just,
next
we
Monday.
just have to give people, like,
Okay.
an opportunity, to come and suggest or comment, and I don't think we've really had many people in the past.
Okay. Well, if anyone does have suggestions, they can certainly
Yep.
email me, and we'd love to hear them. Okay?
Okay?
Thank you, Pete.
Yep.
Okay. I hope you feel better, too.
Thank you.
Were you sick?
Wasn't feeling too good.
Oh, that's not fun. Feel better.
All right, so I'll talk to you on Thursday. Thanks,
Dave
Pete.
says you should go to the dentist.
What's that?
He says you should go to the dentist.
I am Wednesday.
Okay, good. I can help you if you, in the meantime.
All right, so our next two items on the agenda are workshop, building department and zoning update. So why don't you both just come on up to the, yeah,
Defer to over there at the
yeah,
table.
yeah, sit at the table.
I have a seat.
And I'm sure you kind of want to tag team this, right?
Sure.
Why not?
way
I
that
mean,
it
you're
works.
working cooperation on so many.
Any way that it works. That's
Any,
what we try
yeah,
to-
thanks, good. Well, thanks for coming out. I know
Oh,
you guys
thanks for
both
having
worked a long day already today, so I appreciate it, though.
So I guess I could start off if you
Yeah.
don't mind.
Please do.
So welcome, hello everyone.
Hi,
And,
Don.
How's your night going?
So, you
so-
want to introduce yourself?
Yeah,
He's
I
well
guess
known.
everybody knows me. I'm
Okay, done.
Don
Mr.
Westermeyer,
Meyer.
the building inspector. So let's bring things under, I guess, try to answer some basic questions that if the board has any, but just to let you know about the permit activity and
Yeah, that's great.
what's currently going on. We have issued approximately in the 300 numbers for series of permits, which is pretty much status, I guess you could call it kind of status quo. But they cover the full gamut of projects, anything.
Don,
from-
could you just move this a little bit closer?
Is that-
I couldn't really hear you.
Is that better? I don't know if this is.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
So about 300-plus permits
yes.
this year. Mhm.
And it covers fully the 33 square miles that we have. So it covers everything from the whole geographical, I call it as like a rectangle because that's the shape of the town, but everything that we cover. The permit trend, I couldn't see any real trends except there's a couple of large project overlays that could be big factors on how and where we go in the future. And I think that's what the board probably wants to focus in on. A couple of things to keep in mind is the build-outs for the town center is very, I think it's important to where the town is trying to go with the water sewer overlay and getting those dynamics in place. We're seeing progress, it's step by step. So as the buildings get completed, you'll see the town center start to transform. And I think that's something to keep in mind by the board because when the buildings that are there now are older, and so you're going to see the new fascia and the new roof lines. So for instance, the former like strip building where we've changed the profile on the roof look and everything. So
Yeah,
that's
looks
gonna,
nice.
it'll start to integrate. So you'll see, for lack of better words, it'll integrate more with Mavis that's there. So the roofs and all that, it'll come together, I think. It's just gonna take time. So everybody has to be patient on how that comes together. But so that's an active permit. There's 4 tenancies in there. The more tenancies that we get is a stimulus, hopefully, for more. The biggest question is the building in the back, which is the former Grand Union. That's to get somebody who wants to take that or rehab it would be a priority, I think, because once that's done, that'll really bring it together and get things really. But the parking lot's starting to look, it's like, and you'll see the stonework, it's starting to happen.
Yeah, no, it
So,
looks very
but
good.
it's not something that happens overnight, so everyone has to be kind of like patient.
But I would assume that there's a lot that involves a lot of your time being there. Is there?
Well, I mean, it involves constantly going back and
Yeah.
forth, but that's easy because it's here in the village and that's towards the center. On a completely different note, another large project that's going on, which has been a discussion topic because it's not in the village center, it's out on the Cream Street side, which is the Enclave.
Yeah.
So we've issued a primary permit for a startup on that.
Okay.
So that's kind of like a feeler. Hopefully, that takes off, meaning that that's a build-out of 50 to, I think it's 50-plus duplex, which are side-by-sides. What's nice about that is that they're all on one level at this time, the way it's planned. So that should allow us to be able to hopefully tend to a barrier-free, all-on-one-level type of home that, and it's smaller in size, so it can serve a different population, like a more elderly one, hopefully. And we'll see how that works. But that project has been
where are they? They've obtained their primary permit?
they've got their startup permit, and there's a long agreement which our town attorneys
Yes, we
worked on so copiously for many things, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of details with the planning board, may I say.
Yes.
I give everyone credit for putting that whole thing together. It took a lot of time.
And
So,
a week from tomorrow, we'll be meeting with the solar developers for that project. For the Enclave. They
Yeah.
have how originally it was going to be many more homes and the road was going to go further back, but instead they're kind of compacting the development towards the front, and the rear portion is going to be a community solar.
right.
And so have they yet submitted to you, Tad?
The application,
Yeah.
I believe, is in, and we're reviewing it and processing it.
Right. So they asked to meet with us to determine the pilot. So that's what we'll be doing a week from tomorrow.
We have someone else that's coming to speak with me tomorrow on the solar farm.
For a
So-
different,
for a di-
different location?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
So, but solar farms, that's another part of our discussion, but there's a couple of them that were like pending, so
Yeah.
I would think that they're going to be about ready to start up, but I'll find out more tomorrow.
So, just the process, when someone does apply, that we inform them within 30 days that they need to discuss it with the town board in terms of applying for a pilot.
Okay.
So just when that happens, is that the time?
Yeah, we have to, as soon as we know that they're...
There's an application
There's an
considered.
application that's submitted, we have to give them 30 days
So,
notice
well,
of the existence of a
I shall,
pilot.
I'll communicate that, so I'll reiterate that to them, so they do that.
Establish a protocol for that.
It's exciting to see the enclave back in motion.
Well, it's very, it's been a long haul.
Yeah.
There was like approximately, I think it's 9 to some more structures that had to be demolished.
Right.
And they had to
all
be,
been-
they had to be done systematically through the office and done in a very specific way, because some of the homes, unbeknownst to everyone, there were some LP tanks and all sorts of things out there. So we got that straightened out.
I took a ride back there with the solar developer, and where
Yeah.
the solar farm's going, it's going to be in a great spot. That it's really a great project, so I'm excited to see that happening in the 4th Ward.
Well, I'm glad that someone's back on board with it, so
But
that
it was a lot of time back and forth between you and Warren and Tad,
Everybody,
and
I think,
figuring
and-
out how we merge a project from 20 years ago with today's
Right.
requirements.
Right.
it's
And-
vastly
Yeah, but
different.
we worked through it, and so here we are. So have they demolished the home?
Yes.
Everything's
Everything is in.
everything's clean. So
Okay.
what the protocol is going to be is, because there's an old and they're retrofitting, so they're bringing up the sewage treatment plant,
Oh, yeah.
and they're bringing up the water. So everything hopefully will fit in place, and they're gonna renovate one building to be like the community center.
Clubhouse.
Yeah.
So that would be, so we'll see how that goes.
And is River Ridge doing an expansion of
R-
their project?
River Ridge right now is proceeding. They have a group building that consists of the cluster of, like, it's 8 buildings, 8 individual units in the cluster, and they have a permit for that. So let's back up a little bit. They finally have, which I think is a very nice center, they have a community center.
Yeah.
So the community center was a long time coming. It was a lot of work, but I can vouch for the structure. It
looks very nice.
It's got all the bells and whistles. It's fully sprinkled. It's a very safe building. It's good for the project. It's good for the town, because it gives it's got that community center thing, and they have a
So-
pool, functioning
Yeah.
pool. So, I mean, they have some amenities now. So the question is left up to how, to get the build out. The most difficult part of that project, and I think I could successfully say that, and I think anyone would agree, engineering-wise, architecturally-wise, or whatever, was the actual topography and the rock. The amount of rock that was encountered on that project would turn anyone into like a modern.
Is that one of the cause of some of the delays? then,
It was the excavation,
Most
and
of the-
it's the bluestone that was there was like, I'm not a geologist, but it's like the Manhattan bluestone. It kips out. It's very hard, tenacious rock. It's not shale.
So how
It's
many
the-
more units are
It's
there?
the real McCoy. Oh, they have a whole bunch more that they could do. So they're trying to get interest in the site, and they're in the process of doing that grouping now, and they'll see how that takes. So hopefully
So they
they'll.
already pulled the building permit
Yes.
for that next group?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and so.
That's good.
So they're working on extending it, but sales are, they're not the fastest, so everything has to fit its way in, and that's market driven.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that one goes.
I saw that advertised over the weekend, and I think it might even have been in the Times. I'm not sure. I mean, I look at a lot of newspapers.
Yeah.
But
So,
it's encouraging.
What's going on with the property next to Capola's, Kelly's place there? I saw that there was some excavating going on there.
she was probably just doing some exploratory, and Tad would know more about that for discussing for the development, but to put a potential building there, but I don't know. I don't have
she
any
just-
permits on file.
She just
There's a erosion sediment control permit that's been obtained. They were bringing in fill to level out an area. They have no development plans at this time.
Thank you.
You'll see things, just so you know, we have a couple of, and everyone knows this, we have different pockets of the town where other subdivisions were done in like, kind of pockets of decades, kind of 50s and 60s and 70s and 80 overlays. But one of the older one that was left unfinished, and Howie knows about it, it's up in Norrie Heights. So there's a bunch of lots in there. So we've got a couple of permits pulled on that right now. So there's a new house going in there. So, you know, that's,
And then there's Jeffrey Groves Estates.
we haven't had any permit stuff going on with that, but, you know, stuff that requires, I guess my largest theme is like as anyone else, and it's very similar to the town destiny, is water, sewer, and your infrastructure. If you have parts of that in place, things will start to happen, but where it's not, because there's so many areas that are outside of the village that don't have it, so you're basically dependent upon single source wells and individual septic systems. So
So what would you say is the most common permit that people apply for?
the most common.
Yeah.
There's renovation. There's people that are starting to come in, and they're starting to what is I think is a success story, is that I've had an interest in like flipping some houses and actually rehabbing them for the first time.
So
and
if
so
someone were to come in and they just bought a house and they want to change the porch and do the windows over and maybe add a new furnace, where would be the first place they would go? Would it be you or would it be Tad? How would they start that process?
Well, if they had any building code questions, it would be me.
And so
Any
they-
zoning questions, it would go to Tad. But as an a priori, as something that happens first, all building permits are reviewed by Tad and need her authorization. So that's clearly articulated on our new application on our website, and it's included in our new application on the website. So what that means is that any building process that occurs has to be vetted. And there are older areas and older areas of town that have older subdivisions. Now, when they're rehabbing a house, they know from the building code perspective, it's the scope, and that's clearly articulated under Appendices J of the Uniform Code Supplement.
And wait a second, is that on the town website?
No, that's on the state website, which they can refer to, but
Okay.
and their
But-
architect
So
plans.
my question though is,
Yeah.
you know, let's just go through this sample scenario that, you know, I bought a home in Roosevelt Road and I want to put an addition on it and replace the windows and.
Okay.
And so where would I start that?
Okay, so I would start it with myself.
Go to see Don?
And then-
you
and then-
would talk with the person and say,
Because it's a permitted use, okay?
Right.
Anything that's a permitted
Right.
use normally would come to me, or if it's a gray area. So number one, the house would be incorporated. What would come up under the review for the zoning would be for the addition, for setbacks, for the building footprint, and how that fits into the lot, and whether the lot is and what zone it's in. And Tad could speak to this, which is more of her questions, but
Sure.
would deal with the water, the stream, because we've had a lot of permits that have come in, and they've gotten questions about streams, setbacks, water courses, things like that, and setbacks from side yards, front yards.
but just to be clear though, so they would call you, they would be able to go to our website, which we have a new one that is about to be unveiled very shortly. And we would have a number of the applications. We added a lot of applications to the new website for both zoning and building. And they would be able to get those on the website and then fill them out and then come in and make an appointment and talk to
Right.
you? That's what
Right,
that-
right.
that's-
And
that's
what's going to
what
happen
typical
is
would happen.
we've got a block there, but we're going to add to that. But the reason why we didn't add more is a very good, and you have a very good question, because there's going to be a new code update from the building code perspective. And that's going to be changing a lot of it. If there's one thing that's changed the most in the industry of building codes, it's probably the energy code. The energy code and how you deal with glass insulation, and how you do a building envelope, that's changed drastically.
So if I were to give someone advice, what would be the best thing that I would say to them? Like if you were going to, you know, if you want to make these improvements to your house, would the best thing to say would be, well, take a look at the code first to know what you're looking at, or would their first foray be to talk to you, or to talk to an engineer, or what would you suggest?
My first suggestion is do your research before you buy, so you should know what you're buying.
Right.
And you should know what you're getting into, because there's approvals that are required by others. What I mean is the state of what the septic is, because we've had issues, and whether it's in a water district or what the state of repairs are. So there's other things that's required.
So that's a good question, though, then.
And
Good
those are
point. So
listed.
could they come to
We
you?
have
Could they
a
come and look at the
checklist.
building file?
Well, they have a checklist.
Yeah.
Okay, and many of those things are not in our file, because they come from other agencies. So so people ask questions on, and some of those are required by the Board of Health. They could have to have an operating permit. They could have a lot of things that are involved in how that property has been gone through its usage. And the number one question comes up when we deals with animal husbandry is one. If I want to have horses, that comes up frequently. If I want to have a barn, I really that's a zoning question, because there's an animal husbandry thing. So I advise them to check with the zoning first, and then I would gladly help them if they have something to review.
Yeah.
But I make my decisions based upon review documents, because things are to be submitted, they're based upon an application. So you should, before you do
And that
anything.
application is available on the website, and
Right.
people can.
But they have to have things submitted with it to vest in the
I think
application.
just even looking at the application is a good heads up for what's involved. But Ken, I know
Right,
you.
'cause I think what you're asking, and I know Howie has gone through it doing his home. You know, I think I'm at Town Hall quite a bit throughout the years, and I had to go down and get a building permit, remove my oil tank. And I tell you, it's like going down there, you're a deer in a spotlight, you know, because you don't really know what you need. And there's nothing better than being able to come down into your office and say, okay, listen, I want to put an addition on, or I want to remove an oil tank. We really kind of need guidance on, okay, this is what you need, these are the forms you need, this is how you need to get it filled out, and then this is the next step. Because most people, we're not,
Absolutely,
you know,
don't understand
we don't
it.
understand. I mean,
I mean,
we
you
just.
guys eat and
Right, I
breathe
mean,
it, but, you know.
you can talk about every code, right? And I'm sitting here, my head's spinning. I mean, you lost me 20 minutes ago. I just really need to know, okay, this is what I want to get done. Tell me how to get there.
Well, I think
you know?
that, you know, it's, that is our goal. And I
Right.
think that's one of the things that we've been trying to achieve with the website and, you know, providing upfront the information people need.
They
And
guide you through everything. They're a big help.
that,
Oh, they were.
absolutely,
And I
it's-
tell you, and Rich, fantastic.
Yes, yeah.
Well, we have tried to do that with a checklist, but people do and it's not just people, it's process. So it's a way to engage people, and some people are very easy to engage, and other people it's not. They don't know what they're asking for sometimes, or they're trying to go around. But to get to the point is, if you read the checklist, there's lots of things on there that are pertinent to what is needed and what has to happen. And not everybody's going to know that. But what has happened in the industry, just so you know, and this is one of the things it's a given, and it's increased, is that building permits per se are technical, and it's gotten technocratic. So in the simplest English I could tell to everyone, certain people should not, it's not for the untrained, people have to, applying for proper permit is turned into a technical process. It's like filling out documents and getting the proper professionals engaged, and it involves getting people that are engaged properly. And I
Absolutely.
always
Like
tell
Ken,
people, and I always tell people, and I engage everyone that comes through, is to know what your constraints are, know what your property is, and what you're trying to achieve.
Can you maybe explain how the two departments, your department, both of your departments work together? So like when you go out and you do an inspection and you see something that is not under your purview, it's under Don's, where you don't say, well, that was Don, or that's Tad. I mean, how do you guys?
I'm doing all the talking, but I can let Tad kind of fill in
Tad,
here.
how do you guys communicate so that way, you know, when you see that there's a violation or something needs to be addressed by the building department?
I think that there's, and this took me a long time to learn, I mean, there's two aspects to their job, and, you know, the one part is the administration of the permits and the applications, and then the second part is the enforcement, and they're like two different parts of the job that they both do. So I think that's one of the things that first you got to get out on the table is that, you know, you have this permitting application process and that follows a certain route. And then if you have a complaint or an enforcement action, that follows a slightly different route. Would you agree that's true? And so I don't need to necessarily jump in, but the process for enforcement is to trigger it by a filing of a complaint. And the two departments do interact in certain ways, but they kind of have divided it's kind of like a delegation of duties. And Tad is administering the zoning code, those things that in terms of uses and the site plan compliance, and
So that's a good example. So when I'm looking at a building, and I'm making it very simplified, as easy as I can, I'm looking at the interior compliances for the framing elements, the insulation, the elements of the interior portion of the building, the site plan that deals with the plannings, the landscape, some of the
exterior
the
parking,
landscaping and the parking and some of the lighting are planning board stuff. Now, to answer everything, it comes together and it's integrated because I talk with Tad daily. So I go out every day and I'm out on inspections. So I empirically tell her what I've seen and I will report back.
I guess that's my question.
I will talk with Tad.
Right, so that's my question. So if.
And we had an example today.
Right, so like if I go to Tad and say, hey, Tad, you know, I'm getting complaints that there's motor vehicles that are scattered throughout the property and they're not registered. And you go and look, and then you see that the grass is 5 foot tall and this. Do you go back and say to Don, hey, there's issues there that need to be addressed? Or do you just deal with your car and not anything else?
When you send me that written complaint by email, I forward it to Don and highlight that, or to Maureen and highlight that there's a grass issue as well.
Gotcha, perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, we've gone out, Rich has gone out on loads of stuff.
Yes, he has, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how we do it, and we function by.
Oh, it's been fantastic so far.
It's kind of like a triangle, but we always keep it going.
Good.
And we keep things going, and I think it's worked very well. I don't think I think everyone's speaking with one another and communicating.
Definitely.
But there's lots of different things that come up in different areas of the geographical size of the town.
Well, I think
different
what
areas.
Don has just iterated is just the complexity of all these things has increased tremendously. And so you do need professionals to assist you when you're creating these applications, but it's just a much more complex process. And so the things that we have done is, you know, and some of them have been successful, some not nearly as much as we thought they would. You know,
Right.
so we
And we're
we got Municity software thinking, oh, this is going to solve our communication problems and it's going to expedite it. But in reality, it didn't end up doing what we had thought it was going to do. And so, you know, I know that you do use it, but not to the extent that we had hoped for.
It needs too much editorial because I think it was more, and I lack of better words, and I don't want to. I'm not trying
just
to,
be blunt. I mean,
it's more beta than than fully developed. It's kind
Yeah.
of like a
Yeah,
work
no,
in-
I don't, I
It's
know
like a
that
work in progress, and like we're
there's a lot
kind
of
of constantly
dissatisfaction with that.
making
Mhm.
phone calls and constantly trying to perfect.
Well, it was supposed to save us time, but
And-
in reality, it didn't at all, because they hadn't fully developed the product,
Well, it's
actually, right?
like I said, beta.
And so
It's-
that
it's-
was
it's like
really
It's like a
disappointing.
constant thing in development, and that is not really plug and play. It's a plug and play portion of it, but we're kind of perfecting it or adding to
Yeah,
it.
and then, so another thing that we really have been working on is this new website with the forms that we hope will, not that they weren't available before, it's just that it was a lot harder for people to find them on the
Right.
website. I mean, that is the real
Right,
reason
that'll
we
get,
undertook this project.
that'll come, and we've had some people that have come and they've used the form from the website and just brought that in, which
Yeah.
is
It's an
fine.
adjustment.
Which is fine.
Because
It's
we
an-
look for the pink piece of paper in the
And
file, and
what-
there's no pink paper anymore.
But they're,
Okay.
so it's kind of a quagmire of sorts, because we had a three-part before, and that would be communicated by the old hard document to three other departments, and now that doesn't occur.
The
So-
law of unintended consequences.
Unintended consequence.
So-
And so we maintain a discourse with the assessor's office.
Yep,
Our-
and,
our-
they have-
Our department maintains a discourse with just about everybody. Howie knows me, he sees me all the time. We talk about driveways, we talk about
Sure.
the roads, we talk about all the things that are going on, and it's.
And so you're geared up for the two projects for the horizon for next year, the sake manufacturing
So
and the
the
hotel are going to
sake,
be.
the sake manufacturing, it's in development with the architects, okay? There's been discussions about some certain things that go on inside, and whether they need a state variance, which is a whole nother discussion. People are not aware of that, but we leave state variances on our website, meaning a state variance that doesn't have anything to do with the town zoning or planning. It has to do with a variance from
For the
the
alcohol?
the uniform code, the building code.
Did you know?
So, that's a whole nother discussion. So, but see how it goes. But
Okay.
they're doing I think that I have all good faith in that they have very competent people working for them, and that it's going to be, once it gets going, I think that'll be, it'll be
Are they close to
top-
site
top.
plan approval?
Well, I don't know. Tad would know more about that, but they've been in communication with Tad, and she could speak about the site plan part, but.
So I know you're going to be very busy next year, though.
That's
Between
great.
that and the inn at Belfield.
We need, could I put a plug in for, can we get some cabinets? And I don't know how many more we can fit down there.
Yeah.
Because
working on that.
we have no space.
Okay, well,
And we need
we
to
do
do
have
that.
a.
That's a pitch, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Did you put that in your budget?
I'm gonna.
Okay.
But, I
Put it
mean,
in.
but
Yeah,
it's
no,
like-
but we're doing some renovation. Well, we're looking at the assessor's office too, and yeah, put that in your budget request.
But it's,
Yeah,
it's like
okay.
cabinets, just to.
Sure.
And we're gonna be out of space real soon. I mean, OUT, no more, can't fit.
Yeah, and they're permanent records too. All right, well, thanks, Don. Thanks for the update. Tad, do you want to kind of go through your?
Thank you very much.
Don, thank you.
If you need anything, Tad, I'll stay here for
Okay.
camaraderie for Tad.
Support, so that,
Support.
okay.
So I've prepared a third quarter
Thank
report,
you.
even though the last week is not included. And you can see that our ZBA variance applications are the same as they were for all of last year. So we're,
Already at 23.
yeah, we're already
Okay.
at 23. I've already done authorizations for building permits, licenses, and other permits. I'm at 200, and last year was 217 for the entire
Oh,
year.
nice.
Written complaints
That's
are
not nice.
down a little bit.
What are we, oh, they're down, the written complaints?
Well, yeah, because there were 51 total for the year, and at the end of the third quarter, we're at 25. So
That's good.
so we're down a little bit.
Yeah.
And the other one is the planning board applications, and at the end of the third quarter, we'd had 75, whereas all of last year was 63. And you can see the dollar amount comparison from this year to last year. So
great.
we've had a substantial increase in
That's great, you guys are busy.
receivables.
Well, even more exciting, it's an increase in projects. going on in
Absolutely.
the park, right? That's
Yeah.
nice
It
to
is.
see,
Trend
yeah.
in the whole town.
Yeah, no, it's really good work.
So
Thank
ZBA
you.
had 23, Planning Board had about 75, and I review both of those as they come in, plus the 200 that I've done.
Wow.
The major projects that we have going on or have completed, Anderson Center just did a maintenance building that's been completed. Hyde Park Condos is replacing their wastewater treatment facility.
That's good
Mavis
news.
Tires completed construction. Hyde Park Town Center North Building 4 is under construction.
Right.
Jeffrey Groves Estates re-subdivision and site plan are in the final stages in front of the planning board. Like Don said, River Ridge has, the next townhouse building is under construction. The Mid-Hudson Veterinary Clinic is preparing for their final CO.
That's a beautiful job.
Sure.
It looks
Yeah, it looks
really
nice.
nice, and look forward to that.
It really
Yeah, it's
perked
really-
up
It's
that
really
corner.
nice, really
Really
nice.
top-notch building.
Yep, really pretty and
Costs
And
them nothing to heat it, because it's very well done.
nice. That's
Great.
great.
Salt Point Solar over on Dorsey and Cream. They're just about ready. They're conditionally approved. That's probably who you're meeting with, Cypress Creek. And there are four
Well,
other.
we met with them already.
Four other
Mhm.
applications are in process. One is the Enclave, and then there are three, two Athanas East, Athanas West, and another one on Cream Street.
Great.
And then Associates Golf Cars was conditionally approved, and they're finalizing negotiations over a DOT
Yeah, they're having
property
some
taking
thing
or
with the
something.
entrance.
People might not know where that is. That's across from the
Dunkin' Donuts.
Donuts on 9G,
On
right?
9G,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's down by the, where the
Assisted
whole
living.
So-
The hobo?
assisted living
Right.
facility was,
Yeah.
the old
Yeah, it's nice to
hobo.
see that happening, yeah.
So- yeah.
It's right above that by just a little bit.
So Ken, back to the sidewalks, we did, and the CDBG, we did talk about that, and that area as a potential place. But I don't think they were in the,
Well, that side of the road is not in the right
that's
census
not
tract,
right
which
in the
is,
census
like,
tract, because
bizarre.
that would be nice to build a sidewalk that would connect the assisted living.
Oh, wait a minute, that's not true. It's the other side that's not. The assisted
Connect-
living side is in the,
Connected to what?
Well, they have, according to, who were we talking with? Pete? Yeah, because Pete's office is down there.
Right.
That
Right,
the-
they're on the other side of the road.
That
we
the,
talked about a crosswalk across Route 9.
because they
Across
walk.
9G.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes,
across 9G,
To get
because
to
they
Dunkin'
assisted,
Donuts,
Yeah.
Naples.
and,
Yeah,
well,
right.
and they go to the deli where the gas station is,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
And
there are no sidewalks
there's
there.
nothing, and it
Dunkin',
is,
Dunkin's got a sidewalk.
Well, Dunkin', but I mean,
does
that's
Dunkin'
it.
Donuts have one?
Yeah, Dunkin'
Yeah.
Donuts does, and assisted living does,
That'd
and
be
now
good
the
for
golf
this
cart
car
place
crosswalk.
will.
There's
Yeah,
nothing,
yeah.
there's nothing to
Yeah,
connect them.
and I think you could argue that it's a safety issue there. So, all right, but I'm sorry, Tad.
That's
For
okay.
interrupting.
And then, as you know, Bellafield is doing site work under the ODA that you approved and the SWIP. And then Don talked about the Sake and the Enclave.
Yeah,
Most of our forms are on the web and have been, but I believe they are going to be upgraded so that they're fillable forms, and then people can print them out and bring them in instead of having to handwrite them. I appreciate all your opportunities for improving the regulations. You've been very active about that, and it's been helpful. What will be very helpful is having them codified by general code, because I can't cite a section until I know what the number and subsection is.
well, what we've been doing is been grouping them together
I
because
know.
general code is so expensive, but that's not filling your needs?
It's not working for
No,
zoning.
because
Because a lot of the changes that you're trying to make are fixing a problem that I'm waiting for a resolution for. So now I'm trying to evaluate signs when they come in against the sign code.
But
And
once that
it's
we
adopted, it's legal, but
It's
I
just,
don't have the number
it's,
of the section
I
of
see-
code
I see
until
what you're
general
saying.
code assigns it.
it doesn't get integrated in to make it as.
Expeditiously
Yeah,
enough that Tad can use it with the
it kind of
number.
like languishes out of the view, and it
'Cause we
doesn't
do it, is
come,
it every
it
3
doesn't
months
get
now?
codified.
Every quarter.
Yeah, because they were charging us.
Yeah,
And
it
I
was
guess,
like
well,
ridiculous, the
How
price.
much do they charge me? I
Well, which
asked
ones
for
are we
that.
worrying about right now?
Yeah.
Is it the sign?
Right now, it's a
Yeah.
sign code.
So maybe
So-
that we
So
should
maybe we should
expedite
just get that done.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
sign code is probably more.
Well, that would be good, because
relevant
if
than
you
many
want,
others.
because if you go to our website for the whole town, and you go to
won't
the
find
town
it.
code section, if you go to
It
that.
won't be in general
It
code,
won't be
but we,
there.
but we do have it on the website.
It's there
as-
But it is.
As
new or
up-
But you-
pending, but
Well,
it's
And not
not.
assigned a code
Right.
section.
What
in it.
E-code does is it has, that's what Tad's just saying, is
Yes.
that on the side it says new
Yes, new
laws.
adopted
Right.
laws,
Yeah,
but
well,
not.
But they're
the-
not integrated.
All right, so
Yeah, they're
we,
not,
so what, it would, the end of the quarter would be next week
We have
anyway.
4
Well, we
right
have
now
4, let's
being
do them all,
codified.
they should, hopefully we'll get them all in at the same
Right, the
time.
first 4
Okay.
of the
Yeah.
year.
That's
and then
how they
whatever
make
you're
their
doing,
money,
you've
I
got,
guess.
what, 3 on the.
Okay, so we'll.
You tell me, Mr. Schneider.
Just on the topic of the updating the regulations, I think Tad has been working with the group that is updating the scenic overlay, finally. The grant that, were you not, okay.
No one's
Well,
kind of taking
Michael
charge of that.
and Ann and Diane and who else? Shannon, the historian.
That will be one that's important to do quickly, because
Right.
there are a lot of building permits that come through
But we
that are.
haven't, but what's important to do is the meat of, to do it. Once we adopt it, right? Of course, that's important to do it quickly, but we
Yeah.
need to make the progress on the.
They are,
Oh.
is what I'm saying.
Oh,
I
they-
just haven't been in
Oh,
the
I thought
meetings.
Tad was part of that, no?
I did too, but maybe.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not part of it, so I don't really know. But I know that they're moving forward.
Oh,
They've been out
good.
there doing all the surveys and working with county planning and
Oh,
getting it
good.
all
Yeah,
plugged
they
in
don't
so
have
that
to
they'll
do
have a
it.
map.
Oh,
Good.
that's excellent. I
yeah.
didn't, I hadn't
Yeah.
heard a thing about it.
Yeah, I've been
So-
on top of them because
Oh.
we get requests from the grantor
Yes.
about
Oh,
updates.
good. So that's in the works.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
And then we'll go back to Municity. We are using Municity to send notices of apparent violation and notices of violation, but the ticket portion is not available, so we send those outside of Municity, and we're unable to generate reports that are useful to us.
That's ridiculous. So you
We can't-
cannot
what-
generate, you can't generate the
Well,
tickets?
we were trying to get them to generate a report of the progress for me as an inspector.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't do that. We have to tell it each section of code, we have to ask for a report for each section of code that we sent a violation in. So now I have to go back and know what they were. There are
That's not
like
useful.
hundreds of
No.
sections of
Can you
code
list
that.
to us of all the municipal problems that you have, possibly tomorrow for our meeting? Because there's some reasons why I'd like to have that soon.
Sure.
Well, just make
Stay
it,
up all night.
Sure.
No, just a list of things that we need to address to municipal.
Well, I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if,
You don't think they can correct it?
they tell us they can't.
It's always been said, and,
they tell us they can.
and
They
it's not,
cannot
it's not
do
to
it.
throw anybody under the bus, but,
Don't worry about
um,
that.
but Maureen has been with them on the telephone countless hours.
It's like.
And for I don't know what we were sold, or I don't have any internal, idea of that, but it's just, it's frustrating, and it's again,
It
it's
wasn't
like
what was
something that we're
represented.
like writing the program at that point. And I mean, that becomes where, beta collapses, and do you have a real-time program that's perfected? I mean, why would you, it's like, it's in constant chronic, it seems like, development. And certain programs are designed that way. And, as we get it, it probably gets better. I don't know. But what's the direct benefit if we're doing all that work? Because it's like work, and it's a lot of time. So I leave it at that, so
So-
figure that out.
You know, we were trying to figure out how many complaints were closed
Yeah.
this year for this report.
Sure.
And we had to go back through our individual mailings telling people that the complaint is closed to count, because they only counted closed complaints for complaints that were opened this year, not older complaints.
And I think they took old permits when they entered into the system, and they made mistakes and gave them,
Yeah, it's not just
it's like,
They gave them CO.
that, and that is very not good, so.
Well, I was told, though, that they had corrected that.
Well, just remember, we have over 10,000 parcels and grid numbers. So there's a manual catch on that. And you could cross-reference that with the assessor's department,
Yeah.
but we have,
Which I think is.
it's not a small walk. It's not a small walk.
Okay, and the assessor has provided a new form to you that
And
you would like to use so that we can.
we're giving that out to try and
Excellent.
capture some informational thing when we
Yeah,
do the permit
So it's
stuff.
more straightforward for them when they get the building permits and the COs, that they're able to actually understand what the improvements
If
were.
the person fills that out, but that's not our application, so
Okay.
it's left on the, most of it
Okay.
you can it's going out and capturing it is the bottom line. If someone
Sure.
goes out and looks at what we get, you're gonna get it, because that's what we do, so.
Yep.
I'm one of the guys that goes out all the time,
I know
so
that.
I'm always there, so.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you
Okay.
both. Okay, good.
All right.
Talk to you soon. All right.
Thank you.
Good night, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so actually, we need to do just a couple other housekeeping items. One is to, I'd like to get a motion to pull resolution number 2. Isn't that right, Warren?
Pull that.
Yeah, I had undertaking what I thought was going to be a simple project, but it's gotten a little bit more complex, to establish a protocol for the administration of bonds and letters of credit. So I've finished my draft of that and I sent it on, but I think it needs internal vetting before we adopt it. I'd like some of the other principals in the in the town to look at it also to make sure we have it right. So, and we may not even, I don't even know if we're going to adopt it by resolution. It's really an internal policy that just sets forth what the law requires, but
Okay.
we're going to
Make a
discuss
motion.
that
So-
tomorrow. So we're not ready to pass
All
that
right,
resolution.
so a motion to remove resolution number 2.
Make that motion?
A second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. So let's move on to the resolutions. Dave, you
Okay,
want to
yep,
start with resolution 2?
924-3, 2018. Resolution commencing the local law adoption process for local law G of 2018 entitled The Town of Hyde Park Grass Maintenance Law.
And may I have a second?
Second.
And so we are just making a few little tweaks to that law, and that's why we're starting it over again. And we do all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 924-4 of 2018, resolution setting special town board meetings for the purpose of the 2019 fiscal year budget.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
So, let me just get to that law, the dates, we can make sure people have that. So, we will have special meetings on October 1st, October 22nd, November 13th. We may not have all of them, depending on our progress with the budget, but we did want to make sure that we were covered, because there's a lot of state deadlines that you have to meet.
So we're here pretty much every Monday. for
Every
that,
Monday,
right?
we're going to be sharing
That's
time
That's what I told my
together.
family. Don't look for me on Mondays for a while.
Resolution 924-5 of 2018, resolution appointing Stephanie Wacer as a member of the Town of Hyde Park Planning Board.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And Stephanie is being appointed to the position that was vacated by Chan Murphy. And we will definitely want to thank Chan for his many, many years of service to the town of Hyde Park. And we look forward to Stephanie's involvement. She comes to Hyde Park with a ton of experience, both from the development side and having been a planning board chair of a town where she lived formerly. So we're pleased with that. Did we vote? I'm sorry, I'm losing. Yes, we did?
We did.
Okay, good.
Resolution 924-6 of 2018, resolution appointing Nancy Sheehan to the Town of Hyde Park Board of Assessment Review.
A second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And so with this, I would like to thank Tom Incorvea for his many, many years of service to Hyde Park as not just a member of the Board of Assessment Review, but as their chair. And we're grateful for that time. It's a very important function, and eager to see to welcome Nancy back onto the Hyde Park team here.
Great. Resolution 924-7 of 2018, resolution authorizing the town engineer and the Town of Hyde Park Highway Superintendent to seek requests for proposals for the replacement of the diesel fuel tank and installation of a cement fueling pad at the Hyde Park Highway Garage.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 924-8 of 2018, resolution authorizing the Hyde Park Town Supervisor to apply to the Hudson River Valley Greenway for an extension under the 2016 Greenway Conservancy Trail Grant Program.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye. Resolution 924-9 of 2018, resolution authorizing the approval of the proposed declaration of restricted covenants and declaration of easements for the Wright Homes LLC subdivision.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 924-10 of 2018, resolution authorizing town supervisor to approve certification of town roads for CHIPS reimbursement.
A second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And got to
It's
give
pretty exciting that Howie
a
found
shout
new
out
roads.
to Howie. Yeah.
Good job, Howie. We
Very
had roads we
nice.
didn't know we had. Well, we
And-
knew we had them, we just weren't getting paid for them, right? Yeah.
Howie, now that we have the resolution and the list, can you take care of the application forms, or do you need any? They're already filled out.
Excellent.
Good.
Aye.
Top
Good
of the
man.
stuff.
Thank you.
Resolution 924-11 of 2018, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Deputy Assessor, Mara Rothman, to complete the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance online Fundamentals of Assessment Administration course, October 1st through October 26th.
And
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 924-12 of 2018, resolution accepting proposed local law H of 2018 entitled Override the Tax Levy Limit for Fiscal Year 2019 pursuant to General Municipal Law 3C for commencement of the local law adoption process.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And this is something that the town board does as a precautionary measure, and we've done it every year, and fortunately been able to repeal it every year, so. But the public hearing will be October 15th.
Great. Resolution 924-13 of 2018, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Supervisor to accept a New York State Public Protection Grant awarded by New York State Senator Sue Serino's office to purchase additional protective police equipment for the Town of Hyde park Police Department.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And thanks, Senator Serino, for the $5,585 award for our police.
Resolution 924-14 of 2018, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to send a letter to the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, Taconic Region, asking the agency to undertake the detention pond project and offering the town's assistance in seeking the necessary funds. Should I explain
Yeah, would
that?
you explain
Sure.
that, Em?
Yes, so in 2012, The town engineer completed a report looking at solutions to the flooding problem in Statsburg. And the best solution is a series of detention ponds on the golf course, which is owned by the New York State Office of Parks. And we worked with them in developing that report, and the state was cooperative. Unfortunately, it's an expensive project, and so there hasn't been a good funding source for it yet. But the recent storms kind of brought the idea
Sure
back
did.
into the fore that, you know, there were just cars. I mean, it's not a lot of homes that are affected, but it's pretty severe right in the center of the hamlet there. So we wanted to address this again with the state and see if we can work together and help them get some money so that they can do that project.
Yep, okay, good.
Second that.
And second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the last one, Resolution 92415, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to execute a revised contract with Loop TV and Film, Inc. for webmaster services to the town.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
And just before we adjourn, I wanted to make mention that the former town supervisor, L. Paul Matier, passed away
Oh,
on
yeah.
September 10th.
Yeah.
And
Sorry to hear that.
we want to send our condolences to his family. And I know he was a very, very nice man, and he served as supervisor in 1986 and 1987.
Yep, good man.
Yeah, did you know him?
Oh,
Jay?
very well, yeah.
Oh, that's sad, so. Okay, so with that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
And a second?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you, Supervisor.
thank you.
No. Oh, you might have, yeah, if we sold